Everybody, my name is Topher. I'm going to be your safari driver here on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, before we get going on to the reserve itself, I do want to make sure that everyone knows to remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Parents, please watch your children. Children, keep an eye on your parents. It is their vacation, so after all, you never know what can happen on the reserve. So we are entering the reserve right here. This is the Little Eternity Forest, home to amazing creatures. A lot of the animals in the forest blend in very well with vegetation. Keep your eyes open. If you have cameras, I recommend having them ready to go because I cannot stop for every animal. The animals, well, they're wild animals. They're not going to stop for me or you to have your cameras ready. And speaking of animals, I see one over on the right. An okapi, striped-legged animal with a brown body. You can just barely see it through the vegetation over there. So an okapi. Now, a lot of people think the okapi are related to zebra because they're striped legs. They're not. They're actually very close relatives of giraffe. They're very, very endangered due to poaching for their beautiful coats. The only animal in the world that looks like that. The striped legs, brown body, white face. It is not the greatest view in the world. As we're pulling up, you might be able to see its striped legs now. Beautiful, beautiful animal. Pretty cool looking animal. But again, very endangered due to poaching. They typically live in the deepest and darkest parts of forests where their striped legs surprisingly help them blend in with vegetation. Plays off shadows in the forests. Another animal, a black rhinoceros over here on our left coming up. Black rhino are critically endangered. There's less than 5,000 of these creatures left out in the wild. That is due to poaching for their horns. There's two of them actually, one on our left and one straight in front of us. Look at that. I'm very lucky to have seen two close by. They are very solitary creatures, very rarely interacting with each other. That's one of the reasons why they are critically endangered. It's because they don't mate very often. But mostly because they are poached for their horns. So their horns are made out of the same thing as our fingernail hair. And a lot of people think rhino horns are special. They have a medicinal value. Of course, it's not true. If it was, you could eat your own fingernail and hair. Or even worse, other people's fingernail and hair. Cure the same diseases people claim rhino horns can cure. Another animal, there's two different species on our right. Large tan antelope or greater kudu. One or two of them around. And then there's reddish brown antelope hiding in the vegetation. Those are bongos, also known as ghosts of the forest, because of the way they blend in. The bongos are critically endangered due to deforestation, while the greater kudu are conservation dependent. The entire reserve is filled with these types of animals. We've already seen, an endangered species, two critically endangered species, and a conservation dependent species. Conservation dependence just simply means that they need help. They're not endangered, nor are they threatened, but they still need help from humans to survive. So that's why they're here. And again, the entire reserve is filled with these types of animals. Not all animals are here to be protected, but most. There are a few animals who are part of the ecosystem. A wildlife reserve like this is an area to protect these types of animals from further population loss. So again, that's why they're here. We are going to keep going though. We're entering the Safi River region, home to the most dangerous species in Africa, and I can already see, it looks like two of them over here on the right. Hippos. The Nile hippopotamus is considered Africa's most dangerous species. They only eat vegetation. Please sit down, put your children down. Alright, I'm going to remind everyone on this truck has to remain seated. Parents, do not pick your children up. It is very dangerous. If I hit a bump at the wrong time, and you pick your children up, or I can slam my leg brakes because an animal cross the road, which does happen quite often. I do not want anyone getting hurt, so please stay seated. And look at all the hippos here. And a group of hippos called the bloat, B-L-O-A-T, bloats of the Nile hippopotamus, growing over 4,500 pounds, holding their breath for up to 8 minutes at a time under the water. There's also pelicans in the area. These are pink-backed pelicans, getting the name for the pink backs they show off during mating season. And a group of pelicans called a pod, so a pod of pelican and a bloat of Nile hippopotamus. Oh, another animal. Look at this guy's crocodile. Now, these are Nile crocodile, largest crocodilians in Africa. Getting up 16 feet long on average, weighing around 550 pounds. They typically only eat once a week, but during that one meal, they've been able to up to half their body. That's as much as 270 pounds in one meal. It's a big meal. And both hippos and crocodile are threatened due to habitat destruction caused by humans. And there's more and more people living here in Africa, moving closer and closer to water sources, destroying the homes of these animals. And not only are they destroying homes, they're also destroying the food source for animals like hippos, which is vegetation. One hippo needs to eat up to 80 pounds of food a day to survive. It's a lot of food for one hippo every day. So think of the thousands and thousands of hippos throughout Africa needing that much food. It's a lot, so that is why they're here. Let's keep going. We're leaving the forest and river behind us. We're now heading towards the savanna, or Serengeti grasslands. One of the largest ecosystems on the planet. It stretches for hundreds of miles across the continent, home to millions of animals, including some of the largest animals on the planet, like giraffe, and elephants, and rhinos, and plenty of others. And it looks like there is a few giraffe in the distance, along with wildebeest. I thought I saw another animal. We're going to get closer to them here in a bit. So over on our right, as we get off the hill, there's a bunch of animals in the distance. Definitely a couple giraffe, some wildebeest. Hard to tell what the other animals in the area are, so we're going to get closer. I do see an animal up ahead, very identifiable. It's brown, white, with massive horns. It's a cow, an Ankoli, or Watusi cattle. Also called Egyptian longhorn. They're domesticated, but they are treated like wild animals here on the reserve. In some places in Africa, they're actually signs of wealth. The more cattle you own, the wealthier you are presumed to be. So we're going to get a little closer to it. Yeah, up ahead, the Ankoli. Okay, over here on the left, I saw something. Look, the tree might be blocking it. Look closely. The tree closest to that rock wall. There's a hyena that just stood up. Look at that. Hyena are, of course, known for their laughter, but they have 13 different vocalizations, including a ghostly whoop that can be heard at night. They travel in clans. The clans are led by the female. So even the oldest male has less seniority than the youngest female. So yeah, the oldest male doesn't really have any say at all. So females are in charge of everything, eating, sleeping, and even mating habits. So females get to tell the males if and who they get to mate with and when. Here we are getting closer to where we saw those giraffe and wildebeest in the area. Now some of you guys might have heard of wildebeest. They're one of the most populated wild mammals on the planet. Over 1.5 million individual wildebeest migrating every year in Africa. 1.5 million of them. They've been known by a couple different names, including wildebeest or new, G-N-U. That's what the indigenous tribes call them. Wildebeest is the Dutch word used by the Dutch settlers. Well, I also see some Patterson eland, the large antelope species in Africa. The eland. Male elands can get up to 6 feet tall at the shoulder and weigh up to 2,000 pounds. They're very, very big animals. Now, 2,000 pounds is actually the average weight of an adult giraffe. So imagine a 6 foot tall animal weighing the same as a 20 foot tall animal. Yeah, so very, very big animals. So you can see it up ahead. So wildebeest, gray and black animals, a couple giraffe, and then the Patterson eland. I see a male and a female over on our right. Well, I'm going to stop here because the giraffe in front of us is a little too close to the road. I'm not going to stop close to it. We'll get a good view of all these giraffe. There's even a baby giraffe laying down if you look kind of by itself. A giraffe, when they're born anywhere from 5 to 6 feet tall. Just tall enough to be able to reach your mother's milk. Look at that. Beautiful animals. There's been quite a few births here recently on the reserve. So it's kind of hard to tell the age of this giraffe, but I'd say no more than 9 months old. That's about when the birth started happening. About 9 months ago. There are 7 different species of giraffe throughout Africa. There's only one on the reserve, the Maasai giraffe. The Maasai giraffe are conservation dependent, along with the Patterson eland. Patterson eland are also conservation dependent. So they're going to be protected. Let's keep going. We're now heading towards a clay deposit. Elephants like to eat clay for nutrients. You can already see one. up ahead. This is a male. You can tell because of its size. They are massive, massive creatures. Males get up to 12,000 pounds or so. Their shoulders, they can usually grow up to about 13 feet tall or so at the shoulder. Very, very large animals. So we're going to pull up and look at a good view. Now, females are visibly smaller than the males. They weigh about, at their max, 9,000 pounds. So 3,000 pound size difference. That's the size of a black rhino, about 3,000 pounds. It's a pretty big size. So this is definitely a male. Males are bachelors, so that's another good indication it's a male by itself. While females live in herds their entire lives. The only time the male and females really interact is when mating. After mating, the female elephant, they have the longest pregnancy in the world. At 22 months, just shy of 2 years. At the end of that very, very long pregnancy, they have a 300-pound baby. And twins are possible, though uncommon. So imagine carrying that much weight around with you towards the end of a pregnancy. It's a lot. We're going to keep going, hopefully finding more elephants in the air. I mentioned there's a clay deposit up ahead. So just because the male is in the air does not mean the females aren't going to be. It could be they just will interact with him and him with them. So let's see. They have been here recently. Elephants. Look at all the tusk marks on the clay. I thought I saw one up ahead over on our left. Keep your eyes open. Can anyone tell me why African elephants are here? So a lot of animals are here to be protected, including African elephants, but why? Why do they need protection? Poaching, yeah, for what? Ivory, they're tusks made out of ivory. It's the only source of ivory in the world. Here's a little bit different question. We've talked about poaching now a couple different times with a few different animals. What is poaching? There you go. So I heard someone say, yeah, illegal hunting. So, hunting illegally. A lot of animals are here because of illegal hunting. It's a very big problem here in Africa. And African elephants are one of the most illegally hunted animals on the planet. Does anyone want to take a guess about how many elephants are losing lives every single day? Just every day? How many? That's about 90 elephants every single day. 90 elephants a day losing lives due to poaching. Their population is dropping very, very quickly. And sadly, ivory and poaching really isn't the only reason why they're here. Another pretty big reason is coltan mining. Their homes are being destroyed by people coming in and mining for coltan. Does anyone know what coltan is? It's used in electronics. So as the increase in demand for electronics has grown, elephant habitats are being destroyed. Their homes are being destroyed because the demand in electronics is increasing. So that is why they're here as well. So habitat destruction caused by coltan mining and poaching for their ivory. Now this is one of my favorite views of the reserve, looking across the water, often finding elephants in the area. Sadly, we don't see the elephants, but there are flamingos here. These are greater flamingo, the largest and yet lightest shaded pink out of all the flamingo species. When they're born at a grayish one. It takes up to 2 years to get the proper pink.